Hi guys! In this video we'll go over a few updates in the state of Idaho versus Brian Kohberger case. Some new documents were published recently that give us a few new bits of information in regards to the witness DM and what she experienced that night. We have pictures of the suspect vehicle next to 1122 King Road house. There's a few things to go over, so leave a like if you enjoy these summaries on the Idaho 4 case, and let's get right into it. So the reason why a few new documents were published is because Judge Hippler decided that both the state and the defense are sealing way too many documents. So he decided, hang on, stop that. We're gonna be a little bit more transparent here. And we're not going to be sealing things unless it's absolutely necessary. We're still going to edit and redact a lot of stuff, but we're going to unseal a couple of things because both the state and the defense are kind of abusing the sealing of documents. So a win for transparency, hopefully. The first bit of new information pertains to the surviving witness DM. We're already quite familiar with her story from the PCA, but new details are emerging slowly but surely. So now we know that DM first arrived home to 1122 King Road at around 1:15 to 1:30ish a.m. on November 13th. And she was drunk, according to her own testimony, which later affected her memory and her recollection of everything that happened in those early morning hours. Okay, so at around 4 a.m., DM is in her bedroom on the second floor. She hears some noises, some voices, opens her door, closes the door, opens the door again, closes it, opens the door a third time, and she sees an intruder, a figure clad in black with bushy eyebrows. The figure walks past her and out through the sliding glass door. She's frozen in shock. She locks herself into her bedroom and doesn't emerge for the next 8 hours, is what we believed or were led to believe. But actually, shortly after she saw the intruder, DM went down to the first floor to BF's bedroom where the two fell asleep, according to the document. I'll circle back to that later. So the next day when the crime scene was discovered, she gave her statement in several interviews. She only remembers the mask and the eyebrows, the bushy eyebrows. Well, there is a little bit more context here, actually. And you tell me if you find that context to be relevant. DM, in her bedroom, had several pictures of eyes and eyebrows on her bedroom wall. Some of them she drew herself. Many of them were focused on the eye area, on the eyebrow area, and they depicted bushy, voluminous, prominent eyebrows. Now, isn't that interesting? It's very interesting, especially when you consider that DM was under the influence of alcohol that night or that early morning, and that she had a hard time differentiating reality from a dream. Now, to think that all this time, the image of the perpetrator, the description of the perpetrator, could have been based off a picture, off a drawing, and not off a real person. I mean, I'm not saying that this is the case, it's just speculation, just my opinion, but is it an unrealistic scenario when you consider the whole context? When describing the intruder to the officers for the first time, DM did not mention the eyebrows. She didn't mention the eyebrows until the third interview on November 17th, so a couple of days after the crime had taken place. But during each interview, she was uncertain. She also mentioned in interviews that she always had bad dreams and nightmares. In one of the interviews, she assumed that the person she saw in the house may have been a fireman. And when she saw the mugshot of Brian Kohberger, she did not recognize him. We've been over this. She could also not provide a good enough description for the composite artist, so apparently a sketch of the potential perpetrator was never made. Okay, so DM sees the perpetrator, locks herself in her bedroom, and then at some point she goes downstairs to BF. And 8 hours later, a phone call is made from BF's phone. Yes, now we know that the 911 call was made from BF's phone. DM leaving her bedroom makes me truly suspect that the rumors about the two surviving roommates texting may well be true. Because we know that DM suspected that something was wrong, right? She was in frozen shock, she locked herself into her bedroom, she was unsettled, she was uneasy. why would she then leave her room, right? The safety of her room. My suspicion, my assumption, my theory, my opinion is that she probably either texted or tried calling potentially all of the roommates. But of course, the only one that she would get a response from would be BF. So once she established that BF was okay, that she was unharmed, that she was fine down on the first floor, she may have gone down to her. If she didn't have contact with BF, how could she know that downstairs was safe now? The text messages between BF and DM have not been confirmed officially, as far as I know. But now, moving on to something that is not a speculation, the surveillance footage with the suspect vehicle. In another document, we get confirmation that the make and model of the suspect vehicle could not have been identified from the Ring camera from the house next door, so 1112 King Road. This would be this house. So yes, the car does appear on that camera, on that footage, but the identification of the car was made via a completely different video in a completely different location. In the document, it's described how the FBI agent Immel could not have identified the vehicle that appears on the 1112 King Road footage. And they include two photos in the document, which you are seeing on screen right now. And yeah, honestly, you can't tell anything from this footage. It's supposed to be the suspect vehicle right here, arriving and then leaving in the second photo. I mean, you can tell that it's a light-colored car. You can kind of tell the shape, roughly, the shape of the windows, but honestly, not much else. Furthermore, in the emails between two FBI agents, Immel and Jacobson, it's clear that the identification of the make and model of the car was made from a different video, from 1125 Ridge Road. Now let me show you where this address is. 11225 Ridge Road is about half a mile away or 2 minutes away from 1122 King Road. And as far as we know, there is no footage that would connect the car, so there is no confirmation that would show that this is the same car on both videos, from the Ridge Road and from the King Road footage. I mean, it could very well be, but the fact that they didn't specify in which surveillance video the car was identified, that does raise some eyebrows, doesn't it? Next, we have a heavily redacted document that talks about one of the victims, Madison Mogen. Because this one is so redacted, it's a little bit difficult to decipher the details, but I will do my best. So the gist of it is, they swabbed the left fingernail clippings from Madison Mogen, and they found a 3-person mixture. Now, they presumed here, when they were calculating the likelihood ratio of who it could be, they presumed that one of the DNA samples was Maddie's own DNA. And so one option was it's Maddie and 2 unknown people, and the other option that they presumed was it's Maddie, it's Kaylee, and then a 3rd unknown person. Now, at the ISP lab, everything over 100 means inclusion, everything under 0.01 is exclusion. So if the result falls in the middle here between 100 and 0.01, it's considered inconclusive. So you have conclusive, conclusive, inconclusive. Now, Brian, his profile, his DNA was considered inconclusive. The results were presented to the grand jury, and the issue here, according to the defense, is terminology. And they're arguing that because of this word inconclusive, this could lead the jury to believe, oh, it's inconclusive, that must mean that it could also be his DNA. But that is not the case. The lab reported several other results. The names are redacted, so I don't know who these people were, but the results are all very low. 0.02, 0.4, 0.5. The likelihood ratio is exclusionary, but still gets called inconclusive because it's higher than 0.01. Apparently, further independent testing was also done here, and Brian Kohberger was eliminated as a potential contributor to this DNA sample, so it was confirmed that it's not him. Now let's also cover the main, most interesting topics in the other documents that were dropped. Defense also wants to exclude Amazon click activity. So we're not just talking about Brian Kohberger's Amazon purchase history, they even checked the clicks, so everything that he may have clicked on. The defense is arguing that this is cherry-picked and limited data. It does not show the full picture, it's out of context, and they're calling it inadmissible. They are still trying to throw out the IgG info on the grounds that the way that FBI arrived at their results, they broke their own internal policy, so they searched the databases that they were not legally allowed to search, and also because they did not provide a report on how they arrived at the results. They just shared the results, but it's unclear how those results were arrived to. Next, the defense is arguing that touch DNA could be a potentially misleading term for the jury, because when you hear touch DNA, every lay person likely assumes that we're talking about, oh, someone touched an object or another person or whatever, and that's how touch DNA got onto the object. But contrary to its name, that's not what touch DNA is. And I can absolutely see the potential confusion here. How many of us lay people knew what touch DNA was before we started diving into cases like this one or similar cases, right? I wouldn't have known. And then, according to a doctor's evaluation, Brian Kohberger is apparently somewhere on the autism spectrum. They're saying that his autism is also accompanied by obsessive compulsiveness and an eating disorder, and that since childhood he has exhibited germ-avoidant behaviors. And the defense is trying to use this diagnosis, the autism spectrum diagnosis, to throw out the penalty. So yeah, these are the new bits of information from the newly dropped documents on the Idaho 4 case. I'll be posting more updates as we receive them. I was also toying with the idea of making an updated timeline of the events, since we have received quite a few new pieces of information that we didn't have originally. So for example, the whereabouts, the location of the roommates, especially DM. But I do want to wait a little bit longer so that we hopefully receive maybe even more details about the victims, the location of the victims prior to the crime, and then after, the location of the bodies, potentially, maybe even more information from the witness testimonies. We'll see. Do let me know if you would like to see an updated timeline. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Take care, and I will see you soon. Bye, guys.